Hey everybody, it's Lon Seidman from Lon.tv. It is Plex Pro Week again, and I've got something that I think is going to get your virtual gears turning, and that something is called Webhooks. This is a feature of the Plex media server. This you'll see on your settings screen here if you have a Plex Pass, and you're probably wondering, what does it do? I would say the better answer is, what doesn't it do? And so as a quick example here, what I've got on my desk is an iPad that is currently on a web page that's hosted locally here on my network. I've got my iPhone tuned into Star Trek: The Next Generation on my Plex server. If I go ahead here and click the resume button, the media will start playing on my phone. And if I refresh the web page on my iPad, you can see now I've got kind of a little status update as to what my Plex server is currently playing. So if my wife is asking me, hey, what are you watching up there? She doesn't have to ask anymore. She can just go to a landing page and find out. We could put this on the outside of the home theater so the kids can know what I'm watching before they come in or something. This is just an example of some of the things that webhooks can enable within your environment. And what I was able to do here was host all of this stuff locally on my network. None of this goes out to the internet. My Plex server is running a separate set of Docker containers for automation and for hosting this little web page, and I even used AI to do the layout of my little landing page here that gives me a status update. And if I go back to my device here and we close it out, when I hit stop, that will update the page here, and when that executes, you'll see that the server is now idle. And again, Webhooks makes all of this happen. And so what I'm going to do in this video is kind of give you an overview and let you watch how these webhooks execute. We're going to look at what's inside the webhook, and this will give you some ideas as to maybe what you can do with this, because this is more than just turning your lights on and off. You can enable a lot of neat features, and especially now that AI is getting integrated into a lot of automation tools, I think there's a lot of cool things you might be able to do with this. So we're going to explore what webhooks are all about right now. Now you can find more information about webhooks on the Plex support website. They will work with just about any automation platform that is out there, including IFTTT, Zapier, and what we're going to demo today is something called N8N. N8N is a service that you can subscribe to, but you can also install it in a Docker container on your own server and actually have it run alongside Plex, which is the environment that I have it working in now. And one of the fun things about N8N is that we can actually follow the flow of these webhooks as they work their way through my workflow. So that's going to be a lot of fun for demonstration purposes. Now, the configuration of webhooks inside of each of these automation platforms will vary a bit, but in a nutshell, what you're going to do in your automation platform of choice is set up a webhook trigger, and that will get the entire automation in motion. So when N8N or IFTTT receives that webhook trigger, the automation will then execute. And as you're setting this up, your platform will give you a special URL that you're going to paste into the Plex webhook section here of your settings. And you can see I've got mine set up for my N8N server here. What's cool is that you can send webhooks to multiple places, so you're not just limited to just one automation platform. You can choose the platform that works best for your particular application, and Plex will dutifully send out webhooks to as many different servers as you want simultaneously. Now, what triggers a webhook on the server side are a couple of different things. So for example, if you have a new item that gets added to the on deck section of the user, it will fire off a webhook for that. New items being added to the library will fire off a webhook. The ones that we're going to look at the most today involve playbacks. As you can see here, a webhook will fire off when the user hits pause, play, when they rate something, when they resume media, when they stop media. And this one's my favorite here. This one's called Scrabble, and this will send off a webhook when media is played past the 90% mark. And keep all of these playback options in mind here, because you can have your automation do different things based on what the webhook has for this media state. So why don't we play around with this real quick and see how it all comes together. So I've got this project that I built out in N8N. I will have a full how-to on my YouTube channel shortly so you can see how I built this. And what I'm going to do is click on execute here in the testing environment. And what I'm going to do now is go over to my phone and click on watch. And what this will do is it will fire off a webhook. And in a second, the server will receive that webhook, as you can see right here. All right, so now that the server has received the webhook, why don't we take a look at its payload? And you get a lot of data here. So every time the webhook fires off, all of this data gets sent to your server. You have the Plex account name, you've got the server that it's coming from, the player that they're using, and all of these different things can be turned into logic that can have your particular application work a certain way. And here you can see all of the metadata that comes over. So we have the title of the episode, we have the order in which it should be sorted, we've got the summary, we have the rating, the title of the show, the title of the episode is in here. You've got thumbnails that you can pull and a whole bunch of other stuff, including some of the artwork. It'll actually send a binary file in this payload of the thumbnail that you can use as well without having to go pull it from another server. Here you get the IMDb, the TMDb, and the TVDB listings for this episode, so you can go out to their APIs and pull in additional metadata. And you can see all of the other stuff that comes in as well, including writing credits. It'll also have a few of the stars of the show. It only sends over 3 different actors, so if you need more, you'll have to go out and do more with TVDB or something, but you can see just how much data gets sent over every time this fires off. Now, in my example here, I have different things happening based on the state of the media from the webhook. So for example, right now, my phone is playing back the media, and that prompted my N8N server to generate the page that we saw at the beginning of the video here. And so in my automation, what it's looking for here is that media state function, and I have set up a switch here that looks for that. So if we dive into this feature real quick, you can see that condition 0 says if it's media play or media resume, it sends it off on this path, which basically generates that file that then gets uploaded to my web server. But if I hit the pause or the stop button, it will send a different condition. So if we go back to my phone right here, and I hit the pause button, and then we give it a second, we can then refresh this, and as you can see, my server is now idle, because what happened here is that the media playback condition was set to pause, and so this one is stop, this one is pause, and that fires off this condition. And my favorite one that I set up here is called the scrabble, and what this will do is generate some additional information for me when I hit the 90% mark of the media. Let's check that out. So we are playing back the Star Trek episode here. We're about to hit the 90% played mark, and as you can see, it just fired off. And what happened here is my N8N server saw the scrabble event, which indicates 90% watched. And what I have it do in this instance is fire off a request to Google Gemini. And what I'm giving it is the episode number and of course the show name. And I ask it to produce me a recap of what I just watched. Because when I watch a lot of TV, I like to process what I just saw afterward, especially given how complex some of these modern TV shows are and how much older I'm getting. So when the episode hits the scrabble mark, Gemini is going to fire off, and it's going to generate me not only a recap, but also some links that I can visit to get more information about what I just watched. Let's take a look and see what it gave me. So here is the recap that got generated by Gemini through my N8N workflow here. So I've got a couple of paragraphs, I've got some bullet points here, and then it's got links that I can follow for more information with a little more detail if I want to get that. And it seems to be working pretty well, actually. I'm surprised how well this is working. I've been tinkering around with this quite a bit. And what's happening here is I just gave Gemini a plain English prompt here. I'll make it larger so you can see what it's doing. So as you can see, I'm pulling in some of the metadata that comes in from the webhook and just giving it plain English here, and it's generating what you see. And right now I just have it running it through a little FTP thing to upload to my local web server. But of course, you could have this output to just about anything. So the opportunity here for some really cool automations is endless. And with the AI features kind of working as agents for you, there's a lot less code necessary to make this work. In fact, I didn't have to do any code at all. to get all of this working. It was mostly just plug and play. So it's really not that hard to get this up and running. I am running the N8N server here on my local network, so I have more control over it. And it's just been a lot of fun to just come up with different ideas that I can execute based on the data that's coming from these webhooks. So definitely check out the support article to get some bearings as to what kinds of things get sent along, and then just start playing with it, because I think you're going to come up with a lot of cool things and automations that you can generate every time you hit that play button. So that'll do it for this Plex Pro Week tip on webhooks, and on behalf of Plex, this is Lon Seidman.